Good morning to you. I'm Jessica Brown. Boston's vibrant film festival ecosystem offers lovers of films opportunities to support both emerging and established filmmakers and to celebrate culture and community. This fall, the city is host to several film festivals presenting a wide range of genres, voices, themes, and talent. The 17th annual Boston Asian American Film Festival is underway in collaboration with Arts Emerson. Joining us today is Susan Chinsen, the festival's founding director. Thank you so much for joining us.
Good morning, Jessica. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. We have to talk about this because each year you showcase films that represent the diversity of the Asian diaspora and experience. What excites you most about this year's films?
Oh, I really feel like after COVID, we've really kind of come back with sort of the top line of everything. Like we have all of the films are both dynamic and representative of so many different intersectional things about identity, being Asian American or connected to the community. Comedy, sort of sad things, family reunification, like all these different topics that really I think will connect and touch people.
Absolutely. I mean, I watched all the trailers. Every single one of them, it's on my list to watch. I mean, they all look so great in different ways, as you mentioned. Let's talk about some of these films, because right now, of course, we know K-pop is all of the rage, right? We know K-pop Demon Hunters is the most watched Netflix film in Netflix history. And now we have a story about The Rose, Come Back to Me. Let's show you a short preview.
And I made my mind up. We can actually start on our own, be a band. Four of us.
그러고 저 딱 만나서 한 번 딱 치자마자 네 명 다 오 이렇게 된 거예요.
Sold. I'm doing this.
Let's do this thing. Let's be the best band ever. We're young.
그때 당시에 밴드 음악이 주류가 되진 않았어요.
We debuted.
It blew up. Not in Korea.
유로트 열려졌습니다. What's up, New York?
Nobody would know just by listening our song. What? Were they Asian? And that's very important.
It should have been the most happiest, rewarding time. And it was all kind of ruined.
Oh, we had to leave you on a cliffhanger there, right? So the documentary is about the unfiltered journey of this South Korean indie band that becomes a global sensation. What drew you to this film?
There was actually sort of secret, like underlying theme that for me was very surprising. I'm actually not a K-pop fan, but I really found this such an interesting story, especially when it kind of came upon this sort of like turn and twist. It also sort of intersected with who their management company was and who those people were, and really taking a look at the industry and sort of the representation of Asians and sort of expectations that people had for performers, and especially back probably in like the 2000s. I'll share a little bit, like if people actually look back, if folks remember the song Like a G6, and that group trying to figure out sort of what happened to them, that kind of has an intersection with this that I thought was such a beautiful way of sort of like reconciling a bit and reclaiming a bit of like what is possible for Asian performers in the American market.
Yeah, and they really are raw and unfiltered, you could tell, just kind of sharing the highs and the lows of their journey and finding their own path forward, which is pretty cool.
Yes, very much so. And especially, I think, coming from Korea, being here specifically around North American audiences and the rise of all of it, but managing all of those expectations and as as individual people and humans and how they support and connect with each other. So beautiful. It was just like, oh, could everybody be like this? Can I be their best friend? It's like you're just like, I want to be your best friend. Like, how do I find you?
Yeah, you're rooting for them, right?
Yes, very much so.
You want them to win, which they are doing amazing. So it's great to see.
Unbelievably.
You also include a local film that plays homage to the Chinatown neighborhood. It's called Boston. It's called Love Chinatown. Take a look.
Hudson, Tyler, and Harrison. Boston's Chinatown. Got a long history.
So far, you've seen what improved highways and traffic control mean to America.
After the highway, we moved to this particular street corner. They called it the combat zone, and ended up living right in the middle of it. The injustices were so obvious. But Chinatown made enough noise and change started happening. Nobody's against progress. Depends on what you develop, where you develop it. If you build a space of connection, affordable housing, green spaces so that the Chinatown community can continue to grow and thrive. That's progress, you know? That's Chinatown.
I love that. It's essentially a love letter to Boston's Chinatown, right?
Yeah, it's actually a love letter from Chinatown. It's such a beautiful, I mean, I've seen a lot of documentaries and films about Boston's Chinatown. I had previously worked at the Chinese Historical Society for 5 years and have worked on documentaries about the Chinese Exclusion Act and have obviously run the festival for a number of years. But this piece, it's a short 20-minute film, really centers around Cynthia Yi, who many folks probably in the viewers probably already have gotten a chance to hear from. She has such a beautiful voice and does such a wonderful job capturing her experience, but also the lens of like Chinatown as a living, breathing place, beyond just a transactional thing about, you know, the restaurants or the bakeries that people might go to. Yeah,
it's deeper, right? What do you hope people take away when they watch that one?
There's one line that Cynthia mentions that I feel is key to the whole film, and it's like, no one's against progress, and that this is a community. This is actually a community of people connected to a place, and what makes them connected is what they each bring and their connections to each other and the culture that has come with them from wherever it is that they may have come from. And it's really about the fact that this is made up of people, and that is the opportunity of like how Chinatown has thrived and continues to live based on those connections, and you know, it's much more than what you might think.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, I want to go to Between Goodbyes, which will definitely pull at the heartstrings. Why did you decide on this film?
I mean, that's actually interesting, where it focuses around a Korean adoptee and her family, and what was interesting about that was that it actually shares a different side of that story, and you hear quite a bit more from the birth family side. And it's actually the search for this connection actually instigated from the family side, which I thought was something that I hadn't really heard from, and heard a lot more from the birth mother, and sort of like the decisions that she had to make in the process that the family went through, and all of these things. And it just was, I felt like a very different lens on the Korean sort of transnational adoptee story. Also sort of the intersectionality of the adoptee being queer was also a lovely kind of holistic look at a human and who they are.
Yeah, and watching their journey unfold, right?
Yes.
Has the landscape, in your view, and recognition of Asian-made and Asian-centered films changed in the last 17 years, the last 17 years of the festival anyway, or do you feel they still struggle to gain attention and distribution?
Yes and yes. It has certainly gained a lot. I think there was sort of a moment, you know, with the Crazy Rich Asians coming out, that we've seen a lot more opportunities for people, you know, sort of behind the camera, also getting in front of the camera, and sort of just, you know, people, the generation of people have grown up having access to Asian American cinema and being inspired by it, are now creators, which is beautiful and amazing, and the quality of what is available is just risen so much higher. I think there still is a struggling market of independent filmmakers who are trying to get their stories out and continue to kind of gain you know, access to resources to find their ways to get to audiences to hear them.
Which is another reason it's important to have these festivals.
Yes.
Right? And showcasing this amazing work. We know on Friday, the closing night film is Can I Get a Witness? People will definitely recognize actress Sandra Oh. Of course, she's from Grey's Anatomy, Killing Eve. Here's a short preview.
Have you put any thought into how you would like your end-of-life ceremony to go? People particularly like formal church memorial.
She already had 3 children. I mean, why would she have another one?
We're not here to judge, Kia. We're here to witness.
Wouldn't it be easier to just take a picture?
No, sir, we actually don't use photographic equipment anymore.
It's always hard at first, but remember, you'll get used to it. I mean, you could have told me what it'd be like. No, I couldn't. It wouldn't have helped. It's different for everybody. You just have to do it.
Just remember, Kia, we're doing the right thing here. We're helping the planet out.
Before the end-of-life policies were agreed upon, there were places in the world where people were poorer than others.
Human beings were killing each other for resources.
There is a reason we give our lives at 50. This can't happen again.
at 50, right? When I first saw this trailer, I have to say, I mean, it's sort of a lot of emotions. It's eerie, it's thought-provoking. What was your reaction when you first saw it?
You know, I didn't actually read the logline about what the film was about. So I came into it thinking like, what is this whole mystery that everyone's kind of building towards? And it was really sort of looking at this relationship between a mother and a daughter, but then also sort of like as an individual and your connection to society, and sort of what is that agreement that you have as a participant in it, and sort of what do we have access to and take and give. And I think sort of now in looking at, you know, in the environment and all the things that we are using was a big thing. We've had a relationship actually with the Museum of Science for a number of years now, and this film seemed to be like the perfect one to partner with them specifically around the festival, given the sort of science, and it's a sci-fi, beautiful look at what, you know, one option could be.
Yeah, absolutely, that's for sure. And by the way, Can I Get a Witness will be screened at the Museum of Science on Friday, October 24th. Susan Chinson, thank you so much for being with us and walking us through the film festival. The festival runs through next Sunday, and for tickets and more information about all of these films, go to baaff.org. We'll post a link on our website, wcvb.com/cityline. Thank you again.